Now, before we do the reviews right here, I mean, just keep in mind, this is a list of consoles that released in around 95, 96. I mean, check this out. We got Sega Saturn, PlayStation, and the Nintendo 64. Now, for some godforsaken reason, the Super Nintendo was still releasing games at the end of 96, which I do not understand because guess what? A lot of people moved on to one of those three consoles right there. So let's check those games out. You released too late on this gaming console. Yeah. So here we are playing Donkey Kong Country 3. Let's see if we can get the title screen to come up here. We have a fancy looking title screen animation. As always, from Donkey Kong, any of the Donkey Kong games on Super Nintendo. And as you can see there, this game came out in the late 1996, which is pretty damn ridiculous. As you can see here, this is a little demonstration of what the maps look like in this game. Pretty much the same as the other two games. This is a little bit of a gameplay sample. It looks pretty much identical to the other two games, maybe with a little slight enhancement. Definitely an awesome game. My favorite is the first one, of course, but this game came out way too late. You released too late on this gaming console. Yeah. Unfortunately, there was already 3 new consoles that came out by the time this game came out. I mean, look at this. I'm surprised they did not release a Donkey Kong Country on 64. I don't understand why they did not, but who the hell was holding on to their Super Nintendo by the end of 96? It doesn't even make sense. Let's check out what we have here. Put a VCR tape in, that's how old that is. It's only probably a couple more years later, and then we had DVDs. And I mean, look at some digitized, awesome looking animation. Here I am riding a boat, look at this. It's pretty awesome. Here we have Cobra Triangle with a fat ape, look at that. What the hell is that? You're breaking her back. Alright, so just like in all the other Donkey Kongs, you have to collect the letters that appear until you get all the Donkey Kong letters. K-O-N-G. He's carrying a big, huge jug of something. What is that, beer? Alright. I'm swimming in the water, collecting the bananas. Look at this. The same old stuff that you would get in a Donkey Kong Country game. And once again, my favorite is definitely the first one. Very, very addicted to that game. If you like the first and second one, you're guaranteed to have a lot of fun playing this one because it's pretty much the same, but with new levels. Get over here, you bastard. And there's the end of the level right there. Simple enough. And then you move on to the next level. Surprised that it released at the end of 96. I mean, what the hell? How come it did not come out on 64 instead? Like an enhanced version of this game on Nintendo 64. That would have been awesome. Or how about a compilation of Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 on Nintendo 64? You released too late on this gaming console. Yeah. And then that brings us to our next game, Kirby Superstar. And check this out. This almost looks like something you would see on 64. I mean, look at this fancy looking introduction. This is definitely pushing the envelopes on the Super Nintendo. I mean, look at that. What a fancy introduction and nice looking title screen. And it looks like right away we're going to have a little demonstration of what the game looks like right here. And check this out. This came out towards the end of 96. It's pretty freaking nuts that these awesome games were still coming out in 96. I mean, what the hell? Hey, look at this. It's probably one of the best Kirby games of all time, and it came out on Super Nintendo at the end of 96, and there was already PlayStation, Saturn. I mean, everybody was pretty much going for a PlayStation or a Saturn or a 64 at that time. And again, this could have been definitely a game that would have been much more enhanced on the 64. So this is Kirby Superstar on the Super Nintendo. It definitely released too late on this gaming console. Yeah. Here, we might as well throw this game into the list too. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. The Mortal Kombat game was definitely red hot back in the 90s on the 16-bit consoles, Genesis and Super Nintendo. And this was the final Mortal Kombat game that came out on Super Nintendo. And it kind of almost looks like Trilogy to a certain extent. So I guess if you felt like holding on to your Super Nintendo list a little bit longer, you definitely had a good fighting game to play right here. And this is basically your standard Mortal Kombat game, but it's definitely the best that you're going to get on Super Nintendo. Graphics look good, you have a lot of blood in it, and there's no censorship, which is nice. And I just got my ass kicked. So you have to question yourself, like, what the hell is the point of buying this game? And why hold on to your Super Nintendo? You might as well trade that console in and buy a PlayStation or a Saturn and get Trilogy instead. You release too late on this gaming console. Oh yeah. And then we have this wonderful hidden gem on the Super Nintendo, which, for whatever reason, it released late 96. And this is another game that, like, holy crap. Very, very good game. But what the hell was Nintendo doing releasing it so late in the Super Nintendo's lifespan? I mean, this game definitely is a game that I don't like RPGs at all, but I remember playing this a while ago, and it was like, wow, this game's pretty awesome. And once again, it does look like something that would be on a Nintendo 64, but guess what? It's on Super Nintendo. I mean, look at this. This is a little demonstration of what it looks like. I mean, it wouldn't be till years later I actually got the chance to play this game on an emulator, but yeah, this game is one of the few RPGs I actually enjoyed playing. It has fantastic graphics, fantastic story to it. The whole RPG element. It's not boring. I mean, there's a lot of RPGs that, for me, are quite boring. I can't play them at all, but yeah, this game is pretty cool. But here's the thing. The PlayStation and the Saturn came out probably like a year before this game released. And I'm pretty sure that they already had a fair share of RPGs here and there. And the 64 just finally probably came out around the time that this game released, which it's like, what the hell? Were you going to actually splurge the money on buying this game, or were you going to go out and buy the PlayStation or the Sega Saturn, or, you know, wait for the 64 to come out? If not, it probably already did come out. And unfortunately, it came out so damn late. I mean, I don't understand it. If it would have released a couple years earlier, then a lot of people would have had their hands on this game, and it would probably not be considered a hidden gem. It would have been the hit, the #1 game on the Super Nintendo. But comment down below. I mean, what would you do? Would you go for the new 32-bit, 64-bit console, or would you hold on to your Super Nintendo for the few good releases that released very, very late in the time span?